Creating beauty is one of the biggest reasons why I love to paint. With that in mind, I've created the Pretty Artist Studio for lovers of all things beautiful. It's a complete collection of wet and dry media brushes, image stamps, paint stamps, papers, foils, glitters, and practice guides to help you achieve your prettiest paintings yet. Hi there, I'm Chris Lauren, and I've been painting pretty things professionally for over 2 decades now, and I've used that knowledge and experience to create a comprehensive pack full of delicate design elements, tools, and guides to give you all you'll need at your fingertips to create the gorgeous creations you've always had in mind. You'll fall in love with the wet and dry media brushes that were made using actual paint, pencils, and markers to create digital brushes that look and feel like you're actually using the real thing. Hand-drawn image stamp brushes that will jumpstart your drawing and trigger your imagination, bringing your creative ideas to life quicker than before. Easily create with loads of flowers, butterflies, borders, sparkles, and stars that will give your design an instant step forward. Real media paint stamp brushes made from actual paint that will elevate your paintings easily, bringing realism and painterly quality to the forefront with just a simple tap. Glitter and foil textures to add something special and a bit of sparkle to your design. Pretty papers made from watercolor paper and pressed flowers to add beautiful texture and depth, creating lovely dimension to your projects. And of course, an incredible digital canvas that will simply transform your paintings to look just like the real thing. I've also included color palettes that are all the same colorways that I used to paint all the examples found in the previews, plus 2 bonus palettes. Practice drawing guides to help you learn to draw and paint. All the examples seen in the previews are included as line drawings for you to practice painting with, building your confidence all while having fun. And lastly, a video tutorial where I'll walk you all the way through how to paint this pretty horse, step by step, and you'll create something you're really proud of. Once you dive into this complete artist studio, you'll have every pretty thing you need to create all the beautiful work you've always dreamed of. I hope you enjoy. In this video, I'm going to cover how to paint this lovely horse. It did take me about 8 hours to actually do this, so I promise this is not going to be an 8-hour tutorial. So what we're going to do is go over how to paint each element, and I'll do one of each in each category. So what that's going to look like is that we will paint this rose, but you can see this one is similar, and same with this one, and same with that. So you can go ahead and do those on your own. We'll do the buds together. We'll do all the bits and pieces, all the elements. We'll do the cherry together. But of course you can see that they're almost identical, so you'll be able to do that confidently. And these dogwoods, we'll pick a dogwood and do one of those as well. And a butterfly, etc. So that you'll know how to do all the elements, but we won't go every single one individually together, like I said. We might be here a little while. So you'll know everything that you need to in order to complete this painting. Okay, so let's get started. What I'm going to do is actually go show you how to open up your canvas. Okay, so once we're in our gallery, I'm just going to go to the import button and show you how to import your canvas. So it may look a little bit different depending on where you've downloaded your brushes to. So just tap to unzip and then it'll become a folder. So you're going to look for your Procreate canvases or whichever program you're in. If you're in Affinity or Photoshop, the same thing will happen. You'll just find that folder, tap on it, and you can pick from the small or the large. Again, depending on what program you're using, you'll have more limited layers if you use the larger canvas, depending on the size of your iPad. So today, just to be conservative, let's go with the small one. It's still actually fairly large, but you know me, I like to use a big canvas, especially so that you can have all your pictures be blown up to a decent size. So next, let's go and import our swatches. So you can just go to your little swatches here and go to palettes and click on the plus sign, and we'll say new from file. And again, same thing, you'll just go back and navigate to swatches and you'll pick the horse here. If you tap on that, it'll just automatically come in. Of course, I already have it, so we don't really need that right now, but there you go, it'll be in there. I prefer to use the classic mode typically, so I'm going to go back to that. So next, let's go and bring in our practice guide. So I'm just going to go to the wrench and say, go to add, insert file, and I'm just going to navigate to where my drawing guides are and tap on that. There's actually two horses. One is plain and one has all the frills and stuff. So it's this one here, the flower horse. So we're just going to tap on that and that'll bring that in. Okay, so already we have so much work done for us. This is great. And as you can see, just again to note that these are for practice purposes only. Even though you paint something beautiful with this, you will not be able to use it for sale. Okay, so just take a note of that. This is just for practice, just to get our confidence up and get some ideas going and for fun. So before we actually get to painting, I just actually kind of want to show you how I created this really quickly. I used all the brush stamps that are provided in this pack for you. So you too can create something using brush stamps that's really interesting and fun too. So let me just show you as an example of how I would do this. So go to the brushes and then you go to the pretty image stamps. And here you have all of these lovely brushes ready for you. And they're all hand drawn. And they're all really easy to use. So what I did, I just grabbed, say this dogwood here, and you tap, and you can just use your arrow to adjust, rotate, and do that. And then I would create a new layer. That way you can move them independently. And I went in and grabbed, let's go grab a rose maybe. Let's see here. This one here, tap, size it, move it around. And that's really how I created this, just by arranging all the flowers and making them like that. And then you can go in and find these lovely butterflies. Oops, I didn't do the new layer. I gotta do the new layer so I can move it. And we can do that, adjust it there. So that's just how I did it. It just really speeds up the drawing process really quickly, and it makes it really fun and easy. So that's how you can use those. Also, while we're here, I'll just show you some of these, how they work. This is a border, so you can just do that. Create lovely borders with, or little sparkles and stars. You can adjust the sizes of those so they're a little smaller. Oops, it's quite small. You can do that, super simple. And then there's some glitter like this as well that you can do. So that's just an easy way to create some extra fun to some of your drawings. And again, you have lots of flowers to choose from here. Super simple to use and to create really fun designs. So let's just go first and tap on that N and bring down the opacity just so we can see a little bit better. And I'm going to lock that too, just so I don't accidentally paint on it. Then we're going to hit the plus sign to create a new layer. And the first thing we're going to do is go around and actually fill in with a solid fill all of the elements. At this point, it's not going to actually matter what color you make it because we'll be changing that. But let's just go pick something anyway. So I'm going to grab this purple to start with. And then I'm going to go to my brushes and go to the pretty paint brushes. And you can see them all here. Got loads to choose from, just as many as we'll need. And I'm going to grab this wet solid brush. So tap on that. And you can see that it's nice and solid, but still a nice painterly fill, especially with our lovely canvas. We're going to use this to trace and fill all of our flowers. So it's up to you exactly how you want to do this layer wise. I'll show you kind of how I think about it. I'm going to group them together basically. So I'll have the dogwoods together on one layer. I'll have the roses on one layer, although here I'm actually going to have this rose on a separate layer because it's overlapping the other two, and sometimes I like to get the edges separately. So just make a note of that, but it's not the most important part of exactly what layer, just as long as you know where they are. So let's just start with the cherry blossoms. I'm going to just take that. Right now I'm at about 7 maybe. I'm just gonna go and trace. So I'm just gonna trace. You can pick up your pen and overlap, that's not a problem. Just fill in best you can. And then you can also drag and bring it in here. Now, so if it's overfilling like that, just hold down, I'm holding down the pen, and you can see this threshold change. So you can just bring it back a little bit so it doesn't totally flood the whole canvas. And we can just bring that in for these guys too. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Let's just find another one. Here's another cherry blossom. Okay, so once we have the cherry blossoms done, I'm actually just going to name that cherry. And then next I'm going to move on to the dogwood. So I'm going to just hit that plus sign and create a new layer. I can name it dogwood while we're here. And I'm just going to pick a different color just so I know what's going on here, just for my own organization. Again, we will paint them a different color, but we can just do that. So same thing, just fill these in, go around, do your best to trace and fill those in. And I'll see you back in a sec. Alright, so now that we have our lovely dogwoods, let's move on to the roses. Again, I'm just going to do this one on its own, just because I'm going to want to get those edges when we do our clipping masks and whatnot. So again, let's just add that plus sign, tap on this, I'm just going to say single rose. Great. And let's just grab a color, this other blue here, and just fill that in. Okay, and then let's just grab those other roses and we'll just name this roses. And we'll just pick this dark pink color and fill all these in. I'm just avoiding all the greenery, as you've probably noticed. Alright, so we're done our roses, but as you can see, there's a little bit of a problem here. So let's just go and take that layer and put that below the single rose layer, and that will create that shape, and that's good. Okay, so next let's move on to our leaves. So I'm going to have all these, the main leaves that are attached to any of the flowers. They're all going to be one color. Also, I noticed I just missed these little buds here for those cherry blossoms, so let's pick that up. So let's go ahead and create another layer, and we'll name that leaves. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to pick a different color. We'll go with green, even though they're not actually going to be green eventually, but we'll just do that. All right, let's carry on. Okay, so once you're done all your leaves, you kind of notice again that we have a layer order problem, so let's just pop that all the way down underneath the whole lot. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. This is exciting. Next, let's go ahead and start doing, let's go and do these little bits here. So let's fill those in. And we're just gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna keep it below as well. And we'll, what are we gonna call it? Bits at the bottom? Sure. Sounds good. All right, let's just grab this purple color here. All right, we are going ahead. We can actually use this layer for some other things, maybe these bits as well. Let's just fill in those again, using the same brush and on the same layer. Okay. Might as well conserve a layer when we can. Okay, so let's just move on and do this circle here. So I'm just gonna hit that plus sign and say circle, circle. Okay, and let's just fill that in. We can use the same purple, that's fine. Okay, and I've also done this little circle detail here. So that's where our sparkle is going to be. We'll bring that in a little later. And then let's do the butterflies. We're just going to bring up a new layer, name that butterflies. Okay, and then we'll do these ears here. So this collection, they're kind of made out of these, actually they're dogwood buds. So let's just fill those in. We'll call them ears. Okay, and just to keep our layer orders nice, I'm going to bring these below the leaves just so that doesn't interfere there. Okay, we are making great headway sticking it. I know this is kind of the boring part, but it is essential and it will make sense soon. So next, let's do these twiggy bits. So we will just call them twigs. And let's grab a different color and carry on. So actually I'm going to do the buds separately as well, so this will just be the twig part. Okay, and then we're just going to do the buds, and I guess we can put them on a separate layer. I'll just get a different color here, maybe this dark purple, name it buds. Okay, almost there. Let's get the eye. I'm going to put it at the top. Let's name it eye. Okay, and then just the background we're going to fill in. So this part, and just to make the horse basically solid. So let's just create a layer at the very bottom. So I'm just going to hit the plus and just say, I'll just name it horse or body, I guess. Body is fine. And let's just pick any old color here. So, this color maybe, just one we haven't used. And I'm going to just color this all in. Okay, I should note here too that this is where you're going to kind of try to just kind of link it together over here, making some sort of natural link and just filling it in kind of along where they connect. It's okay because a lot of this is going to be white, so it's going to make sense a little bit. So just fill it in the best you can. And here we'll just kind of come around here like it naturally would be. Okay, so we can fill. So now we finally have everything ready to go. It's kind of like your prep stage, your foundation stage. Now we get to some more fun painting, I promise. So let's go into our layers and bring up that horse and just move that picture all the way to the top. And I'm going to tap on the N, and actually I'm going to unlock it first. Tap on the N and just change it to multiply so we can really see through. And that'll just help us guide us along here. Okay, and I'm going to lock it again. Next, I'm going to go and decide all my base colors. So I know the background is actually going to be white because we're going to be coloring over it, but basically it'll be white. So I can just go drag and drop into that layer. So that's fine. We know it's filled, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. And next, let's go to the dogwoods, and I think I'm going to just choose something, this light one here. I'm just going to drag that in, sort of a mauvey color. The butterflies are going to be white because we're actually going to be doing the sparkle together with those. So let's just do that. Okay. The roses, I think I'm just going to give a really pale pink to this pale one down here, just as our base for those guys. I may darken, I'll probably darken up the buds, of course, too, but we'll just start with that. And I'm going to do this rose as well in the same color. Okay, and the cherry blossoms, we're going to have them this white here, almost white, just a little off-white. Okay, and let's see, everything's going to be fairly light, and then we're just going to layer on top of that, of course. All these leaves, actually for the leaves, I'm going to go and just hit the plus sign, tap on it, and make a clipping mask. It'll make it a lot easier for us to recolor here. I'm going to use this pink here, and those are going to be like that. Okay, and then we can just merge these together by pinching them together. Great. I could have, of course, done this all at the beginning, but I like to kind of see what I have and then make those adjustments later. And I also like to show you how you can change your mind, which is really nice too. Okay, so the twigs, I'm going to just change those. I'm going to do another clipping mask and just use this lightest color, lighter purple here, sort of a gray purple. and just pinch those together. I'm gonna use that for the ears too. Okay, so that's good. And then this bit's at the bottom. Let's just use this color as well. I'm gonna do a clipping mask here again. Clipping mask, all those bits. And then these circles aren't gonna matter as much because they're gonna be sparkle as well. So we can leave them for the time being. Okay, so the first one we're gonna start with is the more simpler of the flowers here. We're gonna just do this cherry blossom. So let's zoom in and have a look. So next, go to your layers and find the cherry. Make sure I've got that there. And what I'm going to do is all the stuff I'm going to do on top of the flowers are going to be clipping masks. So again, we'll hit that plus sign, tap, and clipping mask. That way whatever we paint will stay within that solid fill that we already have done. Okay, so you can see why this is valuable in a sec here. So I'm going to bring up this nice rosy color. So I'm going to go to my brushes and scroll down a little bit and you'll find all these lovely bloom brushes. I'm going to grab the graphite bloom and just I'm going to have it at full opacity. I'm probably around 8. Just gently, just shade that in. Super simple. Love it. Okay. So that looks good. And then I'm going to take this color and I'm going to grab this one here and get the wet paint bloom. And I'm just, where am I at? I'm about, again, 8. Just going to shade these sides just a touch. Just here and there, a little bit random. Just getting a little bit more paint on there. Then back to the paint brushes, up to that wet diluted brush, full opacity, just down around 10%, and just get this sort of detail in. And this one you can build up and really okay. And you can create, you know, your other lines and detail and whatnot, and this will actually kind of blend it in. See how that works with the other paint? It's kind of cool, eh? It's almost like it's real. It's so wonderful. So you can blend the colors that are already there and just create a little bit more depth and distinction between the petals here. Just really easy. I mean, there's not much to it more than that. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn off our drawing layer so you can see. Super simple, okay. So now what, of course, is going to happen is we're gonna have to do all these details on top, and those we're gonna do in white in a little minute. I'm just noticing that my buds didn't quite make it here into the color, so I'm just gonna, or into our new color, so I'm just gonna drop that in there so we can get our buds. Let's make sure we have them here too. Perfect, okay. And then let's just add a bit of color to them. So I'm gonna bring this darker color back, still with my wet diluted brush, it's fine. Just give it a little color at the base there. And as I ease up the pressure, it becomes a little lighter. You can just keep pushing on the paint to make it darker with some taps and then blend it in. Wonderful. Okay, so next I'm going to go, I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. I can still see it a little bit too much, so that's probably better for painting purposes. Okay, so let's lock that again. I'm going to have another layer on top here. I'm not going to clip it because it's actually going to go out. Just grab pure white, go to the top and grab It's a Fine Line. And this is, of course, a nice fine liner. So we're just gonna, I'm gonna have it at about, let's say 10, roughly 10, probably good. Okay, and just trace those, super simple. Okay, so that's that. Let's just have a look without our drawing layer on. Okay, perfect. I like the way that just sort of picks up there. You can add more dots wherever you need. Perfect. So I want to finish each full flower for you so you can kind of see what it completes at. So let's do the leaves part. So we're going to go down and find our leaves, just double checking that that's it. Hit that plus sign, tap on it, clipping mask to the leaves. Let's pick this color here. Go back to our brushes and let's find this splatter bloom brush, and just, you can see it just gives it a little paint splatter look, and you can just build that up if you want, depending on how dark you'd like it. Super easy, looks nice and painted. Then again, we can go back in with, let's say, our wet build and blend. Same thing, just bring that down a little bit. I just want this little leaf here to kind of push behind a little bit, so I'm going to give it that shadow there. And just sort of blend that out nice. You can add whatever detail you want there. Okay, perfect. Maybe a little bit there, a little bit on that side. Wonderful. How I finish this is with white lines. So again, I'm going to go back to my It's a Fine Line, and I'm going to just go and add another layer on top of the leaves and just put the lines in here, and I'm going to have all this little detail. Obviously this isn't a realistic type of flower at the moment as far as how we're painting it. It's kind of fun to do different styles sometimes, so a little bit more illustrative style. Okay, so that is how you're going to do all of your cherry blossoms. And now you can see what it'll look like with all of your cherry blossoms all done. Okay, so next let's go on to the dogwoods. So I'm just going to turn back on our drawing layer here. I think I'm going to pick this one because it's kind of in between all of them, how open they are, so I can show you how to do the inside. So first what I'm going to do is find my dogwoods here, and I'm going to tap on that and create a new layer. I'm just going to name that Buds, or sorry, I will name it Center, just for the dogwood. And I'm going to use this yellow color here. Just going back to, we can get the cute carbon. Just, let's see, maybe about size 12, 13. Just fill this in. So it's nice and solid over top. Okay, so it's like that, and then really simply, you're just gonna bring in this brown here and just kind of define the bottom of this. So just here, so just shade this in. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna use this cute carbon for this. I'm gonna use the wet diluted brush. Let's see where we're at, maybe about 4. And just get in here, just at the bottom, just shading that in. So it'll just start to define these little bits. So all the way along. Perfect. And if you want, depending on how it's turned out, you can always go and take your blender and just, it's going to be pretty small here, just blend that in if it's just a little bit too much of a harsh line for you. The transition isn't enough. Just blend that in a little bit. Okay, so that's a really simple, just easy way to get those in there. Again, let's just look at this. Perfect. Nice and easy. Okay, and then we can tap on dogwood again, hit the plus sign, tap and say clipping mask. Kind of changing my mind again exactly what color I would like these to be. So I'm just going to tap on the dogwood, plus sign again, so it creates another clipping mask. I'm gonna grab this lightest pink, bring that in to wash that out, pinch them together so that just makes it solid again. Go back to our clipping mask layer, and then I'm gonna go and grab this color here, and let's use the, let's see, wet edgy. I'm gonna use the wet edgy brush. I'm just gonna build up this, kind of go in the lines a little bit. Maybe make that little dip there. And when you're doing this one, just make sure that you have a shadow behind here, right? Just so that kind of make sure that they don't get stuck together. Let's make that a little darker. Just building it up. Make the shadow on that detail there. Oops. Get that fold in there. Nice. And you can always bring in another color, maybe a little softer pink here. Just acts as a transition color, just a little bit more depth. Okay, lovely. Okay, and then let's just do the leaves for these. So we're gonna go back down to our leaves, onto our clipping mask. We'll use this color again. We can grab that wet paint bloom and just have a play with that. And then again, go back to here. We should actually probably name this layer. Just say white lines. And grab our fine line. And same thing, just add your lines here. Okay. And if there's any detail like this, you can kind of add that in there, just to sort of make that look a little bit more interesting. So as a side note. Okay, so let's have a look without our lines. Perfect. Now what I'd like you to do is go and finish all the rest of the dogwoods. Okay, so now that we have all our dogwoods done, let's move on to the rose. This will probably be the most difficult one, but I know you can do it. It's the same principles. All it is just layering paint, getting lots of depth in there. We'll have a little bit more fun with some more colors here and just getting this to look really beautiful. Okay, so let's start. We'll zoom in. Actually, I'm going to turn this circle off just so it's not distracting for the color. And find our lovely roses here. So we're on the roses, the multiple layer. Let's add a new layer, and it's going to be our clipping mask. Okay, so what I really like to do is really get that dark, real catchy center. So let's go for something like this here. Go up to our, I think I'm going to use the wet diluted brush just to start mapping out here. And just this very center here, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe size 8 will be good. Okay, so just this spot, we're really gonna get that going here. And I'm just adding paint just by tapping and moving it, will blend it. So really getting the depth. And I'm gonna blend it out as I go up, okay? So that's honestly, that's the biggest thing with flowers and roses, which well, most flowers anyways, that I really concentrate on is the bottom of the petal gets the most amount of paint, if that makes sense. It's just, and then the top part is going to be lighter, so that when you do the next layer, that edge is going to be darker than this top edge, right? That's how it makes it look like they have different petals. It's something that's sort of always in my brain when I do it, and if you kind of keep that in your mind, that'll help you. Okay, so let's keep going. So the next one, I'm just going to fill it in. And sometimes you can leave a little bit of an edge too. That's nice, sort of a watercolory look, if that's what we're going for. And again, just creating that shadow, that line, that change between the petals, blending up. Okay. So still with this color, we will change it up in a little bit. Gonna get this filled in. All right, again, tap tap to get the paint going, blending up. Really just want that little crease there. I'm gonna use my blender just to come in because I really didn't want a lot of paint on this part. Just make this a little bit bigger. Oh, I should note that this blender, I use it as a paintbrush. It acts a little bit differently. You could use your smudge tool, but this is just a really interesting brush that just responds a little differently, and I love how it blends. But you use it as a paintbrush, which isn't quite the norm, but try it, you'll love it. I hope you do, I do. All right, let's move on to a new color. Let's bring in maybe this pink here. Let's just see, a bit of change back to our diluted brush here. Let's just start. This might be kind of more, we might layer as we go. I'd rather start lighter than darker, although of course with Procreate or any other sort of, or if you're using Affinity or Photoshop, you can always delete, which is so nice. I'm just gonna paint this in. All right, already can see it's coming together. That'll look good. I might want a little bit of warmth, but we can go over that in a minute again. I think I'm going to bring in this color here. Let's just see if we can't really get this. Yeah, I want a little bit more red. So I'm just layering it up. Might have to go in and darken it up again. I kind of want that vibrance there a little bit more. Let's just see how that goes. Okay, good stuff. All right, you know, let's just keep going with this color. Let's just see. Kind of like it. All right, I'm gonna switch to my, where am I? My build and blend, my wet build and blend. Yeah, might give us a little bit more pigment here. Okay, then I'm gonna move back to this color here and just start to fill in. We have this little line here, so we can make that, leave it white or leave it the pale pink. Don't be afraid to do that. I like this brush. It gives me a nice painterly look, and I like it for the petals that are a little bit bigger. I like the diluted brush for things that are a little bit smaller and tighter, and just more specific, like heavier pigmented stuff. It's kind of nice to fill with because it sort of fades out as we go, and then you can keep building it up. Lovely. All right, so we're just going to keep going around and around, filling it in. Again, darker at the bottom. It doesn't have to be like a line all the way around, but definitely have some spots just to make that change between the petals. Okay, let's maybe bring something a little bit more purpley into it. Maybe this color. Just see if we can sort of start blending some things together. Maybe just adding it over top, having those nice color blends. This brush is so lovely. It's just, oh, the paint just moves. I know it's not real paint, but kind of feels like it sometimes. So smooth. Okay, so sometimes I actually like to do the center and then sort of jump back and go from the outside in a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do here. Just with my colors, again, I'm just trying to balance things out a little bit. And I like to have this sort of multicolored, but kind of aging a little bit, and to tie in that we have a little bit of yellows in here too. So let's just bring up this yellow, and I'm going to get into a fluffier brush here. Let's try, well, let's start with the paint bloom again and just bring that up a little bit. Gently just go around the edges really lightly, just these little outer ones. I'm gonna do the whole thing, and then I'm gonna go grab this green, bring it more closer to the center, something like that. Okay, aging it up a little bit. Let's find this splatter. Maybe, let's see, put some dots there. That was a little bit too much. That's too much right there. Let's get that yellow. Okay, good. Back to the green and back to, let's do the wet diluted brush. And just, again, making those edges, right? Getting into that shadow there. Maybe there's going to be a shadow here with those or join there. Just blending that out. Maybe there too. And I'm going to bring that in here a little bit, not too much. And this guy. Okay, to the blender, and let's just pull it out, kind of. If that makes sense. So I just don't want that harsh line. Okay, I think that's good. Then I think I'll grab this color back to Let's just go with something soft. Again with the paint bloom. Kind of have it big a little bit. Maybe, you know what, the drops. Let's do that. There we go. Something like that. Just kind of overlay a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Liking that. Lovely. Okay, so now I kind of know where I'm going with it, and I'll go back to the center. And grab that color, I think. Let's just see. And back to the build and blend. Let's just carry on here a little bit. You know what? Let's get this guy in here. This will be dark because it will be quite in shadow. And we'll leave this lip here, this nice and light too. You know, maybe that might, no, that won't come down. Maybe I'll just blend that a little bit. Yeah. Great. Bigger brush, bigger areas. Just really, just be loose. I'm holding my pen, and this brush automatically kind of fades out if we keep it held down long enough. So just get that nice washy look. Okay, back to my blender. Edge that out, just subtle. And then back to our build and blend. Wherever it is, wet build and blend. Different from the other build and blend in my Living Watercolor. It's a little bit more of a looser brush. Just soft. Back to build and blend. See how we're doing. Okay, let's get a little purple-y in here, maybe this one. I like to throw some splatters here. Let's just see. You know what, actually, let's do a stamp. Let's do it. We haven't done any of those yet. Okay, so we'll go to the pretty paint stamps. We've got loads here because I love them. I mean, I don't think you can ever have too many. So you have all sorts of all different types of medium and grains. So these are going to be down the bottom. They're a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker paint. Up here is going to be your lighter paint. So I'm going to grab something like this, maybe 17. I'm actually going to go, let's show you. I'm going to go do another one on top, another clipping mask. And we're going to tap. And we're gonna just, let's see, something cool here. Or do I want that part? Yes, I do. Okay, and then I'm gonna go click on the N and bring it down to, let's see, linear burn is nice. Yeah, linear burn it is. Okay, so I'm going to actually take my eraser and just erase part of it because I don't want it covering the whole thing. I just want it to kind of come on some of the petals. So I'm just going to take this out. Oops. Just so it's creating that nice mark there, and I like here too. Here I don't, I'm gonna blend it actually. So take your brush, go back to your paint brushes here, into the blender. The reason being is just I've come into this here where obviously it overlaps two petals. I want it on both because I think it looks cool, but I don't want it, I need a line, right? So I'm just gonna blend that so it changes there on those two planes. Okay, so I think that looks good. Cool. That adds a little something, little texture, again, making that wet paint watercolor look wonderful. Okay, so next, and I can just merge those together now. We're trying to be conservative with our layers. Now I'm going to go to the wet diluted brush, still with this purple. I'm just going to add some extra bits here, extra color. I may be at about 15 now. That's where I want to bring in a little bit variation. All right, I think that's looking good. The other thing I can do too, sometimes if I like to do this, duplicate this layer and maybe change the blending mode. That's quite aggressive. But we can do linear burn and bring it back to maybe about 25% and just see what that does. Sometimes it'll just bump up things and just create new textures, and you know, it really made this really interesting here, I think. So that's another little tip. So just duplicating your paint layer and seeing what happens, just playing with the layer styles. Okay, so I'm really liking that. I think that's pretty good. You can turn off the line layer and see if we need to make any adjustments. I might want to come back in with the green with the diluted brush, just to make sure that we can kind of see this here. So we need to make any little tweaks. Good. All right, I think that's looking good. So with all of that, I know it's a lot, and you have a lot more roses to do. You can go ahead and finish up your roses. Okay, so now that you have your roses done, I actually wanted to show you how to do a bud, just in case you were having a little trouble with that one. So let's just go and have a look here. Turn on our drawing guide again, back to the roses clipping mask, and let's just get this nice color here. And let's go to, let's do the wet rough edge brush. That's nice. Okay. So I'm just going to build it up, just color this in first, build up the bottom, blend it in. Actually, I'm just going to really color this in a lot. You want a lot of depth in the base, of course. And then I'm going to bring this darker color here. Let's get the solid brush. I just really want this dark in here. Just around there, maybe in here a little bit. Really get that in there. And then we can bring in maybe this purple color, get the diluted brush, blend this up. See how that already blends? Isn't that cool? All right, just push it up. Push the paint around. So you're just wanting to create the depth in those, the tip of the petals here, and then at the base, just concentrate on that mostly. And maybe even this dark purple here. Really get that in there. And that's good. And then make sure you have all your petals and leaves done for all of your flowers here. Okay, so let's move on to these little bits down here and all the rest of these leaves and whatnot. Now for these leaves and his forelock here, what we're gonna do is just go down to the leaves layer, grab this pink again, grab that. I really like this paint bloom color today, or paintbrush today. Just add some depth here, right? Where there would be a shadow, and then just be kind of a little random about it. Just make some splotches. Not too many, but just so that they'll be, you know, get some paint on it. Same with here. Maybe that's a bit dark. Here, wherever we've missed any there. And that's really it. It's pretty straightforward there. But with this, let's go to our white lines and get our fine line. And then all of these need their little lines. Now what I like to do with this, what I did in the original painting, is I actually separated them with a white line. If that makes sense. So that you could see, it's almost like they're cut out. If you'd like to do that, go for it. That's just how I made that kind of look. Define them all. It's kind of like outlining them, but I'm not outlining the whole thing. I'm just where they meet. Again, sort of an illustrative choice. So let's move on to these bits here. I'm going to go down to those bits at the bottom and I'm actually going to turn these ones white. So actually I'll just change them all to white. So I'm going to do this also by going to my magic wand, hue and saturation, brightness, and just bump up that brightness. So then we're going to create a new clipping mask, tap on it, clipping mask. And I'm going to bring in this color, but I'm going to do it with some of these blooms again. Let's do the paint drop bloom. Actually, yes, I'll do that. And just sort of push on it a little bit, just to add a little something. Good, and then here I'm going to change the color. I'm going to use this color. I just kind of want it to have a little variety here. Maybe a little bit of this. I want it like a little irregular. And maybe a little purple. Perfect. Lovely. Okay, so for this part, I did a little design, and so I'm going to create a new layer and just grab the white, fine line. And all I'm going to do with these are just do random 1, 2, 3 dots. So just dot, 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 line. Wherever you want, dot, line. Some single, some double, whatever you want. And it just creates texture and illustrative quirkiness, maybe. Just design. right, so I'm going to concentrate on this area a little bit more. I'm going to bring in maybe this, let's see, maybe this burnt blue here. Get the washy wash. It's a pretty nice little duster here. We're just, oops. And I'm going to make sure that I'm on the clipping mask layer. That'll be important. And I'm just going to add a little bit more depth here. Perfect. Then, actually up here too. Then I'm going to go grab the wet edgy brush and bring down this darker blue here. And I want to create this shadow here because this will be the horse's nostril, of course. So kind of want to create that depth, even though it's not literal, but that'll help make that look happen. I'm just going to do some of these edges too while I'm here. All right, that looks good. And again, I'm going to go grab the fine line and the white, back to the white layer, and same thing on here, just this decorative pattern. Repeating something in from a different area, maybe a little bit more subtly. Perfect. Okay, we are getting somewhere. This is exciting. Let's do the ears. The ears are pretty easy to do here, so let's just go find our ears. Throw on a clipping mask. Maybe give it a little bit of purple. Let's bring in one of our washes, maybe the splatter. Bring a little purple, and then a little bit of this blue. Again, thinking about the shadows. Maybe a little depth on the edges. Something like that. All right, and then really this part is just outlining the white. So you guessed it, it's a fine line, and then just copying these, tracing over these lines that we have already in our drawing. So super simple with that. So we're getting to the glitter and all that fun stuff soon. So let's finish the solid part of the horse next and get that finished up. All right, so we're gonna go to the body, plus sign, clipping mask. I'm gonna grab this purple here. Again, let's find something, I don't know if I want texture. Oh, I will do texture shader in a little bit. I'm gonna start with the soft edge bloom, just really big, just get it in some areas. I want this more white, so just not too much in there. Then I'm gonna go switch over to the paint drop, push, get some pink in here. Let's just see where we are. And some other lighter pink. Maybe we'll go to the splatter. Just have fun with this. This is just being kind of a regular, you know, whatever kind of pops up. Okay, I like that. That looks good to me. Then I'm going to create a new layer and just get the white. I'm going to go to the dry old brush 2, I think. Whichever one sort of works, and just kind of give a little scratchy scratch here and there. Again, just creating texture, so that multimedia sort of look. Cool. I like that. Good. Okay, let's do the eyeball. And we have all these little twigs yet to do as well. First of all, actually, while I'm talking about these twigs, these buds need to change color. So let's just create a new layer over top, clipping mask, and they're gonna be this pink here. Maybe it's changed my mind. This pink, that's better. Okay, so we can just pinch those together. All right, and that's kind of bugging me a little bit. Now let's go find our eye. I'm going to make this eye lighter, so let's just tap on that clipping mask, that here, and then we're going to build it up. So create a new clipping mask, and let's bring this down to, let's see, somewhere in here, and we'll, this purple, and we'll build it up a little bit. Let's do the wet paint bloom, just a little regular. Then we're going to get this blue in here. Do the graphite bloom, small, and just start to build this. A little bit bigger. I want it to be darker in here. Sort of create an eyeball almost here, so you have that. I'm just creating a circle here within the shape. And then let's get some white and grab maybe our grungy sketcher here. I'm gonna have like, kind of shade this up. Kind of like they have little eyelashes, so I'm sort of just drawing a bit of those. Again, it doesn't need to be literal. I think that's probably good. Good enough. Just a few little specks. It's nothing really specific, just sort of keeping that roundness and sort of darker in the edge there. All right. Good. Good stuff. Okay, let's do those twigs now. For the twigs, I like that color. I'm happy with that. So let's just bring in a little bit of this purple maybe, and grab our diluted brush. Oops, helps if you go and make a clipping mask. Until we've been at it for a while. And just give it some shading just on one edge and just a little bit variety here. It won't need too much. And this guy over here. Lovely. And here. I think I might need to turn this layer off. It's getting distracting at that point, or at this point where we're doing this kind of stuff. Okay, not much we need to do to these buds. We can just go right on it too. Let's just bring in this color here and just give it a little depth. Now let's get some glitter. Okay, let's paint with glitter. This is going to be fun. Okay, so I'm going to just turn this back on again so we know where we're going. We can also go and grab that circle layer that we turned off. I'm actually going to move it all the way to the top above our canvas, okay? The reason being is because I want the glitter to not be disturbed by the canvas because it'll create another texture on it and we don't really need it. Okay, so let's go get some glitter. So we're gonna go back to our wrench. We're gonna say insert file. I'm gonna go back and find the glitter and foils folder. I'm gonna go into big glitter, and luckily I know the number. It's 34. that we're going to use today, and that will import, and look how pretty that is. Okay, so this should be good. It's covering our picture, so that's fine. But what we're going to do is duplicate it, because I'll need it for the butterflies as well, and turn it off. And then I'm just going to go, since it's above our circles, I'm just going to say clipping mask, and voila. So isn't that lovely? Now, I know that in the original picture there's some more details, so let's go do that on top. Okay, so I'm going to just bring my picture layer on top here so I can see it again. And make sure it doesn't go into a clipping mask. That's why we can't see it. So just do that. And I'm going to say unlock it. Tap on that M. Bring that opacity up a little bit more so I can see. Okay. So I'm just going to create a new layer. And I'm going to use this dark purple. And let's use the cute carbon. That should be good. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use the fine line again. That one's good. Okay, so I'm going to just create a circle. So what I'm going to do is hold this and sort of trace what's there. It's not going to be pretty, but hold on to it because then it'll create a perfect circle. And put your finger down to create a truly perfect circle. Now, if you need to move it, it's okay. Come up and say edit shape. And if you are tapping out here, you can move it wherever you want. And you can resize it a little bit too. Okay, so that's fine. I'm just going to duplicate that, use my arrow to bring it bigger. Make sure you're on uniform down here so it does it evenly, and you can just place it. Perfect. Okay, so we can pinch those together and then use our eraser to make it a little smaller. Just to take this out here. Erase, erase, erase. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now with the same brush, I'm just going to fill in these little bits here. Okay, now same thing for this one. Just going to draw a circle roughly where I did. Looks so nice, doesn't it? Hold, put your finger down, and create the perfect circle. Don't worry if it's not exact. Edit. Tap outside to move it. Great, that would be good. And then, oops, since I've done it on the same layer, that's okay, don't worry. We can take our selection tool. With freehand, just draw around it. Say, with 3 fingers, swipe down, cut and paste. Okay, so now let's remove that from that layer, okay? So if that ever happens, that's how you know how to fix it without having to redo it. Duplicate it with your arrow, pull out there a little bit, and line it up. Approximate. Great, pinch together. And then let's erase. Great. Okay, and then with the same brush, we can go and put back on all this detail here. Great, so if we turn this off, that looks good. Looks a little funny there because we don't have our lovely butterfly yet, but let's put those in. Okay, so this, I like to do it like this because it kind of feels like you're painting with sparkles, so let's do it this way with our nice clipping mask here. So what we're going to do is turn on our sparkles, be on this layer here, hit the plus sign, tap on the sparkles, clipping mask. Okay, so now it goes away. But let's just go and tap on our layer below, and then we can go and draw with the sparkles. So with that brush, with the fine line, that's fine. We can go, again, doesn't matter what color you want to do, but you can just go and just color in with it. So for this, you are welcome to use whatever, fill in whichever parts you want. this is up to your own creativity. So just fill in some of the wings. We can bring back in this detail in a little bit too, so don't worry about that. So then what you want to do is bring this layer up one last time to the very top. Make sure it doesn't become a clipping mask. Clip, tap there, a new layer. Now we're just going to trace our butterfly, and I'm going to keep it with this dark purple still, and I'm going to use this fine line as well. So I can see, if it's hard to see, you can always turn this off, which might not be a bad idea because it does get a little hard to see. So I'm just going to trace these guys. Just filling them in. Okay, once you've done that, you can go turn your sparkle layer back on, and there you go. And then next you can finish all your lovely butterflies, and then let's have a look. And then once you're done your butterflies, you can turn off your draw layer, and let's have a look at our final product. I know that was a lot of work, guys, so excellent job for sticking with it. This is a big project. I hope you were able to feel really good about doing the flowers on your own, and I just really encourage you to keep practicing and enjoy using these practice sheets. They should be fun, and they should just really be hopefully a little therapeutic and relaxing and really enjoyable, and just give you some great ideas and inspiration. So thank you again so much for joining me and for your support and all your love. I really appreciate it, you guys. Love you so much, and happy creating.